Today we got a nice stack of comics to review. Let's see how this goes. See if I can remember most of them. Starting out with Deadpool number 7. This is the Peach Momoko cover that I won on one of the contest. Very happy to get this cover. Storyline, didn't really grab me too much. We're starting out with a bunch of characters in the Antlier headquarters. Aster, Drop, Rahona, Last Bite, Mir, Miss Ginkgo, El Cawdon, Valentine Bomo, Lord Deathstrike. It's a variety of characters kind of being led by the Horned Emperor, sitting at the table trying to discuss some stuff, figure out what their future plans are. While at the same time, we got, let's see, Deadpool and Valentine fight for their lives. Lady Deathstrike is fighting for her sanity, having been left to dog sit Deadpool's new symbiote dog, affectionately named Princess. I mean, how much trouble could a giant carnivorous pup get into? Says Allison Wong was the writer, Luigi Zagaria is the artist, along with Matt Mila, Mila, doing the color artist, and VC's Joe Sambino doing the lettering, and Tom Muller with design. The cover artist, on this one was Peach Momoko. Don't know why they're showing this Benjamin Sue on here, but basically, Deadpool's dealing with all these crazy goofballs, most that I've never heard of. And we get this Ravona character that I can some vampiric abilities, I assume. Got bats all around him, floating around in the air and stuff. But I love when the princess shows up and helps out Deadpool with all the things that are going on and all these different characters. This, I believe, is running off of Deadpool's, I say Island of Monsters or something like that run that I read a while back. So I feel that's when Princess made the first appearance. But yeah, I love this dog, just all happy all the time. Sees Deadpool, Papa, hello, Papa. We'll do anything for him, including eating anybody that gets in the way. But yeah, this is basically a battle between all these characters and Deadpool, and just must be right in the middle of a storyline. And it's like they said in there what was going on with Deadpool and stuff. I'm not big on the social media stuff. Like, here's a whole page of texting back and forth between Deadpool and I can't think of who he was talking to on here. But yeah, it's like asking if Princess went to the bathroom yet and stuff like that, checking up on her. But yeah, it's I like his pet. I like seeing them together. They're just a fun team up. It reminds me of like when Jeff and Deadpool were together and stuff. Jeff the Land Shark. It's a lot of fun, interesting characters. Just mix perfectly with the goofiness of the Merc with the mouth. But yeah, it's. I'd like to get the issue before this and the issue after it. I think I read the first 6 or have the first 6 issues. of this run. 'Cause it was either this run or the one before that I got the first 6 issues of that I jumped on that I pulled off just after a certain amount of issues. I'm gonna find them all in 50-cent dollar bins anyways. So why pay these current $4, $5, $6 price tags, if not worse? And there's a lot of $8, $9, $10 comics that have been coming out and stuff that just amaze me that they're putting these prices out, but yet it's to compensate for what? Having 50 different covers and then being stuck with all that extra inventory and stuff. If you just focused on 3 covers tops, except for some big event, then let's sit there and get the prices down. You're not wasting so much product that you're got to make up the cost by raising everything. But we got Eastman and Laird, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Meet the Conservation Corps, issue 1, which I could have swore I read this. It might have been an issue 2 or something like that. But some of this felt familiar, but most of it didn't. So I'm guessing I have an issue 2 out there or something like that. But we have the turtles in the middle of a balloon fight, and all of a sudden they find out that there's a bunch of things going on. Hey, get Splinter wet. He always gets caught up in the crosshairs when the kids are playing. But there's a big oil spill. An alien comes flying to our planet to things that are going on. Notices that we're in trouble. He lost his planet to stupidity and war and all that. So he's trying to give another planet a chance. And he's got these little special spheres that he launches out of his ship that go off into the Earth, travels around the Earth to different parts of Earth, and connect with certain animals that turn them into manimals, mananimals, manimanimals. But so all the spheres but one, we find out who it connects with. While all that's going on, we got this greasy duck that's ticked off because all the environmental shock to the oceans and stuff caused him to lose his family and stuff due to oil spills and things like that. And he's taking his aggression out on everybody and the planet and gonna just destroy everything and wipe it all out. And our characters come in to try and help deal with the duck and help the environment. And so far, you got like the land, the water, the fire, air type characters. Uh, well, Greenhorn is plant life and vegetation. Firefly is basically something related with fire. Uh, Water buffalo, of course, covers the waters. Stone hedgehog is earth and the ground, and then we're still waiting to find out what happened to the other sphere. While they do, the turtles cross over with these characters. They help out with the issue at hand, deal with the duck along the way. Little Archie recycling one pager in there, and some nice information on our different conservation corp characters and stuff inside it. This is a nice thick comic. Uh, Fun story. But yeah, you get to see what happens with our crossover between all our characters and find out what's going to happen, what's up with the other sphere, what other character is going to appear. You have to read these to find out. But yeah, like I said, I thought I had this issue, but I did not have it in my CLZ, so I figured what the heck, I would grab it at the claim sale, check it out, make sure it's the one I had, and then just resell it. But like I said, I don't remember all that story. just bits and pieces, so that could have been an issue too. So I'll figure out what that. Because I swore I read it like a year or so ago, so it should have been in my CLZ unless I put it under the wrong name. It'll have to find out though. Then we got Farcry. This is Matthew Morrell, Afif Khalid, and Salahadine Basti. I love the Farcry games. Uh, they usually start out focusing on our main character. Main character somehow gets drugged with some type of disease and has to deal with that issue throughout the whole Far Cry game. So he's like, I can't even remember what he had over the years, tuberculosis or whatever. Just a bunch of different chemical induced diseases that he had to fight with, having injections or whatever every day or while you're playing the game and stuff. We get this storyline, and our character basically is. And we get the feel of Far Cry because it starts out with a big old gator coming out of a river and goes to attack a hunter, and there's all kinds of stupidness going on with a few drunk guys and what's happening around them. While that goes on, we get to meet our main character and his escort, and he's basically a drunken explorer type, and he just doesn't give me the feel of any Far Cry characters from the past. So just seeing him, he looks like your standard swindler type character. And I didn't get no feel for him as the hero of Far Cry hero type character, just trying to save a country and its people that are being tortured. Don't get that from this character. This character's kind of shoddy, conniving, and I'm sure he'll be good for this whole organization, but they have to get where they're going, whereas don't want to say historian, highly skilled educator is talking about some stuff, and they go to hang in the back and listen to what he's saying. And while that happens, basically the country's militant groups come in and start bashing heads, causing all kinds of problems, and they go off to their little rendezvous to an area where they'll get their weaponry and all the stuff they need for that. Anything they need to get through what is yet to come. Just didn't feel like Far Cry at all. You're better off reading this 10-page Boogeyman preview, which is just so irritating that they keep doing these. This was a fun story, fun little teaser for this Boogeyman book, but a 10-page preview in a comic that's not even explaining to me what the heck's going on fully with our characters yet. And it's the first issue, at least make me like the character a little bit. He just did not. Even his escort, I wasn't really, and her boss, none of them really grabbed me. So I doubt if I will follow this any further. It is Esperanza's Tears is the name of it. Far Cry Esperanza's Tears. But and I should give issue 2 and 3 a shot. If I find them in a bargain bin, I will. But until then, it's almost like when I play a new Far Cry game. It's always so open in the beginning of what's going to happen, what's going on, but at least in the game, within a short time, I start to get the gist of what's all going to happen in the future and who I'm after and all that stuff, why I'm after them. This just didn't give me that. I just didn't feel it. Then you throw a 10-page preview in the back. It's like you're charging all this extra money for these books lately, and they are having less and less story pages. Almost every big book I grab lately, new book, has a 6 to 10, if not bigger, page teaser story for some other story or something like that. And it's just, why? You're pulling the mid 90s mistake where they started throwing all kinds of computer disks and all this stuff in our comics, and then it destroyed the comics because when they got pressed against other comics, it just left the imprints of all the cards and all the discs and everything else that they stuffed in these comics back in the mid 90s, and you ended up having every other page being an advertisement, and then you're getting all this extra crap in the back, and then a bunch of extra full page ads in the back after the teaser stories and stuff, and it's like, no, didn't like it. Uh, like the more I look at my stack today, most of them I wasn't really big on. Next up, we have Alice in Wonderland. This is a Grimm Fairy Tales Xenoscope, right? Yeah, Grimm Fairy Tales storyline from Xenoscope. We got Raven Gregory, Joe Brusha, Rolf Tedesco, Raven Gregory, Robert Gill, Jason Embry, Jim Campbell, all working on this one. There is a realm of madness out there. It was once a world of wonder, awe, and dreams. But the place called Wonderland has since become a realm of pure insanity. Hasn't it always been a realm of pure insanity? Everything I've ever seen of Wonderland was. Within this realm, the Jabberwocky has fed on the sanity of any being unfortunate enough to end up in Wonderland. There, almost everyone is transformed into twisted and sometimes grotesque versions of themselves. For countless generations, a man named Charles Dodgson, the earthly disciple of the evil Jabberwocky, has been sacrificing unsuspecting innocents into Wonderland in exchange for Dodgson's own immortality. Countless children and adults have been sacrificed to this place of pure horror. There are many stories to be told of this realm, but none quite like this. But yeah, you start out with a couple parents taking their daughter to the tree with the hole in it and forcing her to go in it. She doesn't wanna, but they're like, "Get going. We're done with you, kid. Time for you to go to your future." And there's this big, deep cavern inside the tree, and she's being called into it, and she goes in, gets introduced by the white rabbit of what's going on, and kind of lies to her, teases her, takes her deeper and deeper into the future horrors that she'll have to deal with. And of course, she's dealing with her different personalities that she'll have to argue and fight with and see on the other side of the mirrors and stuff. Uh, all the little interesting creatures in their different forms from what you know of them from past Wonderland stories. Lots of big creatures in this one. The Chester cat and stuff. I mean, they're huge. Don't really see them in the calm, funny moments as much. But yeah, that little magic mushroom thing going on there with the rabbit and Alice trying to help her out, but yet basically making things worse for her also in the long run. But yeah, I it was interesting. I want to know what's up with all these characters, where it's going to go. Uh, it does continue, so I'm guessing it will. Yeah, it says the ongoing series begins summer of 2012. So I'm guessing they went at least 6 to 12 issues on this one. So I will keep an eye out for the rest of them and pick them out. I always like Grimm Fairy Tales. I like seeing some new stuff from the characters. But yeah, just wasn't overly thrilled with it yet. But the concept's better than some other Wonderland concepts I've been across. This one I picked up a couple times, put back down, and then picked up again. Then I reread it, done by Mark Evanier and Dan Spiegel. We got Hollywood Superstars. Main reason I picked this one up is I just felt like we were gonna see something from like Twilight Zone with the helicopter crash and stuff, and with our different characters in here. Wasn't really sure what we were gonna get, but I thought there might be different Hollywood stars parodied in here that we know of. But it mainly focuses on our main character that's a stunt coordinator that had a job working with a director that was way too pushy and wanting like planes lower, explosions bigger, not worrying about the risk, what's going to happen. Some big event happened on the set of a past movie with this character, and the stunt coordinator ends up uh, working with him again and just trying to tell him things are going to go bad if you don't listen, if you don't follow the rules of safety. And of course, again, the director's like, bring the helicopter lower, make the explosions bigger. Things happen, people get hurt. The director doesn't care. He's just pushing for whatever type of footage he can get his hands on. Our stunt coordinator crosses paths with this blonde gal that ends up coming to work for him and his partner have kind of like a private eye business, and they end up getting hired to look into some problems with the movie sets and stuff and see if they can prove what actually happened with certain things. And he goes in and does all that. It's basically that kind of story. So if you're into that, you'd enjoy this. It's thicky, nice, decent storyline. It starts out with one part, and all of a sudden you go to a new part of a story thinking, okay, or is this a whole completely different story? But then it all kind of works its way back together nicely. So I enjoyed it enough that I'm happy I read it, but I doubt if I'd go any further with it myself, just because I'm not into the PI stories anymore. I was into those more in my high school days, into my 20s and stuff, but then I got burnt out on all those things. Another fun Howard the Duck. I was so happy I got this one when I seen the giant gopher character. But you basically got another update about you get the origin of Howard again. So many different origin stories for this poor character. Uh, it drives me nuts when they do that with a lot of characters. I don't think there might be one in here yet. Yeah, there is. There's another storyline in here where they totally changed the origin story of a character again. Ollie's out hitchhiking, comes across a female trucker that picks him up. He's like, "What? A female trucker?" And she's like, "What? Talking duck?" It's like she sits there and helps him get on his way. And while they're doing that, she makes a pit stop where she introduces him to some environmental issues that are happening. And we end up finding a giant variety of caves that ends up. They go through these caves, giant gopher hole caves. She's like, "This is just like back home on the farm. We have gophers digging holes like this all the time. This is a way bigger gopher, obviously." But they go in there and then they find this whole city that's through the trees that they go walking into, and this city is apparently set up with a bunch of like rich snobby people that are trying to make a better world out of the destroyed world. And you got this goofy wizard like character that's controlling it all. Well, that character can turn into this, morph into this gopher character. And when he does, all heck breaks loose. And our cowgirl and Howie have to try and deal with this character. And it's just another fun Howard the Duck story. I really enjoy these. You can't go wrong with Howard, I don't think. I have yet to find one that disappointed me, but there's another one that's in beautiful condition. Well, it's got some ticks and wear in it, but yeah, it's all complete. Staples are good, no rust. So I will grab those anytime I see them. A few bends and folds don't bother me, as long as the book's all there. Now, yeah, Popeye. I love Antarctic Press. A lot of their stuff they do. This one's kind of wonky, but instead of Popeye, we got a parody called Momeye the Sailor Scout. And I can't tell. I mean, if it's a girl or trans or a boy dressed as a girl, and the huge forearms thrown off, but it's like, and you get her a little better inside in the story. It's a black and white comic. The bigger gal, that's Brutos. I think that's how you say her name, Bruta. Bruta instead of Brutus. And there's also a wimpy character in here that forget what they called him, but apparently our Popeye character is a Sailor Scout, and they learn some magic. And Bruta wants to also gain some of that magic, but they sit there and the Momeye character explains to Bruta that you'd have to do this, you got to get up early, you got to give up eating certain things and drinking alcohol and all that. And Bruta's like, well, I just want to be able to have the magic without having to do all the work, of course. And they really never conflict too much throughout this story. There's this, the Mamai character goes to save a cruise ship from some giant beast, while Bruta goes to save the cruise ship from a pirate attack. And they run into each other and they deal with all the issues together to an extent. And then, yeah, it just plays out through it. And then our olive oil character is this skinny little guy. He's like a maitre d' at a hotel, uh, waiter type, room service type character. And they both fall for him, want to meet up with him later, all that stuff. Then it jumps to Momeye the Sailor Scout, another story, which is versus Gimpy the Sailor Thief, which is Wimpy's alternate character. And this one, again, has big old kaiju type monsters and stuff in it. But these two stories play together really nicely. You get like a Sultan That's got his 77 wives and all that. And um, battle with our characters and our kaijus that they have to deal with. I didn't hate this, but I was confused by it. There is crossovers with uh, like Jiminy Cricket, a play on Pinocchio, all that stuff in here. But oh, I just the characters are a little goofy, but it had that fun parody feel to it. So I'd probably read some more if I found it, but that would be a bargain bin pickup. But I'm glad I at least got the first one. Secret Defenders #1. I could have swore I read this, but I picked it up because of Dark Hawk. Uh, I'm I'm almost positive I read this in the past. But as usual, you got Doctor Strange playing with his tarot cards, which are showing him who's going to be the main characters in his upcoming events. We have a robbery gone wrong that the robbers come running out, kind of crash into some elderly people that are homeless. And our characters appear and pop in to stop the bad guys. And then after the initial robbery, Stephen Strange appears in, as usual, in hologram form, ghostly form, whatever it is. Uh, Pulls their characters up in the air, and they're just up in the sky levitating while the cops are dealing with everything, wondering where the heroes went. Uh, but as usual, Stefan can't make it to help out the crew that he puts together, and his powers are getting weak, so he has to leave, and he'll come back later once his powers regenerate, and he can ghost himself back to the crew again. But you get to see them checking out our characters at the police department, but our young, I'd say 20-ish characters now are really old and dying. One character in a cell dies before they can even get in by him. And we find out there's something going on causing characters to age really fast. It's a nice little collaboration between our characters, and it's going to lead you right into a Dreadlocks storyline. But yeah, uh, and you got Doctor Strange, Wolverine, Nomar, Darkhawk, and Spider Woman. I'm happy I picked it up. If I do have it already, that's fine. But yeah, just needed it for my Darkhawk collection. So happy to grab it. We only got 2 comics left, so we're going to run a little over today. This is another one that I grabbed at a claim sale. I can't remember which claim sales I got these from. Some either cheap comic collector or Psychotronic Squirt Gun. More than likely. I also got some from Heroes for Hire comics from Matt, but I don't think any of these were ones from his pile yet. But I grabbed this Web of Spider-Man, that beautiful Rhino cover. I like the Rhino character for some reason, but I love the Web of Spider-Man because you basically get your 3 short stories. I think they're all laid out that way. Could be some with 2 stories or whatever, or but we get another new origin story for the Rhino character, showing that a couple scientist type characters made the armor, fused it to his body, and he goes off and is trying to help a country deal with help some rebels dealing with the country's like guerrilla forces and stuff. And it just so happens that he ends up attacking the wrong side, then goes to deal with the other side. But you get the origin story again of our character, and I did not like this origin story. I liked the character, I liked the way he looked, I liked all that, but yeah, here's him getting fused together. Like I've seen way better origin stories for Rhino, and I hate when they take main characters that have been around so long and just keep flip flopping their origins. It drives me insane. I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. Yeah, and then we jump right into a spectacular Spider Girl story where we have May Parker or Mayday Parker that's dealing with the Green Goblin, of course. Is this the Gold Goblin or can't keep up with all the different ones? We have Kane and Dark Devil that appear to help her. She helps someone that's falling that they're going to eventually fall in love with uh, each other, the way it sounds. By the way, this story is going, but yeah, our Kane character and Dark Devil appear to help her out because she has something that they need her for in the near future that they know about. That's why they teleported to this time, and he does what he can. Kane does what he can with the organization to get everything lined up the way they want for their little future plans, while Dark Devil and Spider Girl go after the Goblin, who also has the symbiote Spider Girl. Uh, the people that they're working with, they got her kind of like in a regeneratable tank, healing tank, as they lots of people use ever since Star Wars back in the day. But yeah, it's just seeing all these characters that I know nothing about. It's just more confusion than anything else. But it was a decent enough story. But then we get Love and Marriage. I should say your storylines too are the Rhino one's done by Fred Van Lent and Nick Dragata and Joe Carmagna. The Spider Girl in Whom Gods Destroy is done by Tom DeFalco, Ron Friends, Sal Buscema, Bruno Hang, and Dave Sharp. And then Aunt May and J. Jonah Jameson Sr. in Love and Marriage is done by J.M.D. Mateus, Val Samix, Dan Green, Andres Moza, and Jared K. Fletcher. Says cover artist is Jelena Jurjebek. But yeah, seeing them, Jonah and May, just held up in a hotel room for a few days. The cleaners are getting antsy. They want to get in there and clean, but they kind of lock themselves in for a few days. They Jonah pops out. They can hear the workers outside their door. If I could get this stupid page to go one page back, jumping around, and he goes jumping on his door like, "We're here. Don't worry about us." And just all this. Leave us alone. Uh, our honeymoon, all that stuff. So tells the cleaners off, and then hops back in bed, and they decide. Aunt May's like, I've never really been out of New York much. So it's like if we are out here vacationing, let's actually vacation, and then they end up traveling around to some other countries and doing some things, and it's just a fun story about an older couple in love and things that can go awry during your little honeymoon and all that, but nothing too serious. It's basically old age stuff. And, it was a fun story. I liked it. Then our last one from Weird War Tales, starring G.I. Robot. So happy to get this because I love this G.I. Robot character, and it's almost like if you're at all reading the Ghost World Junkyard Joe storylines, I feel like that whoever's writing it definitely loved this character back in the day and kind of took a lot from him. I mean, this actual storyline in this one, the robot and the samurai. This is by Robert Kanigher, Julius Schwartz, E. Nelson Browl, Fred Carrillo, Philip Felix, and Jerry Serp. You get basically the whole thing. I mean, right off the bat, Jake 1 ends up in the ocean. Something happens to him, gets destroyed. Jake 2 is en route to help out a group of military. Yeah, my brain's just not there anymore. Just a military group, and while they're waiting for their next drop, they end up dealing with some battles along the way, and then we get to see how this samurai robot from the other side, what's up with that character. You get to see him go off, take out some of the military. Word gets out that they got their own AI type robot, type warrior, and our characters get a drop of Jake 2, and Jake 2 goes into battle with Samurai, and just the way everything plays out and some of the wording throughout here, it just felt so much like Junkyard Joe. Uh, but yeah, I loved how I mean, Jake 2 takes his head gets stretched out, but he takes his head and just beats the crap out of the samurai with his own head. And so he's obviously somewhat indestructible because nothing, his tiny head can take down a whole big character. But then, I mean, that's almost the whole book is that storyline, and then we jump to those who ignore the past, which takes us to a frozen Earth after we find out that we didn't take care of our planet. The planet was destroyed by certain things. Alien life forms tried to help us. We end up in a dome and trying to hide from all the poisons in the atmosphere and things that can destroy us. And the aliens do what they can to give us a new world without aggression. But of course, humans find out the couple things that the aliens are hiding from them, and it ends up making those humans angry that the aliens are keeping stuff from them. Of course, it's like they gotta always be better than everybody else, and basically civilization goes right back to its old ways and destroys itself once again, and the aliens get caught up in all of it and stuff. And yeah, both stories interesting, but I mainly get this for the GI Robot stories, and I just like that. I really like that this issue I could probably put it right next to issue 1 of Junkyard Joe and some of the things that happen with his military mates and what he goes through could easily be reflected over to that. But yeah, that was a fun stack. Went a little longer than normal, but worth it. Lots of great comics. So check those out if you've seen any you like, and we will get back with more of these in the near future. Keep following under the Color Love MS. Rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend. Check out Crimson Color Comic Club. Check out all the other things. Check out the claim sales, that Cheap Comic Collector, Psychotronic Squirt Gun, Heroes for Hire. And there's so many people doing them now lately. There's more and more that are planning on doing them. I'm thinking about doing them in the future. I just can't figure out all this live video crap. And I ain't gonna pay $500 a year to have live video just to do auctions. We will see what the future brings. Keep an eye out, and we'll keep putting out the goodies for you. All right, take care.